So let's start with the title, Will Bitcoin Disrupt Remittances? You heard this morning, Andreas, when asked what was the killer app. What was the killer app? Good, here. What was the killer app for Latin America in Bitcoin? And he said remittances. So I'm going to try to give you my point of view of whether Bitcoin is the disruptor for remittances. Okay, remittances, remesas, envíos de dinero, money transfers. It's called by many names. We differentiate money transfers from remittances in a way that remittances are mostly migrant remittances, money sent by people, by Mexicans in the United States to their families back home. Money transfer is just, let's say, a more general term, but we go back and forth between the two terms. So, all right, now, this is the agenda that I'm going to follow. I'm going to be very fast, because you can download the presentation afterwards. So, some slides, I'm just going to show them very fast, so at least you know that they are there. If you want more information, you can see the presentation, and then you can have more facts. Also, there's links, so you can go on to where I have found some of that information that is not mine. Now, so that's the agenda. Now, who am I? The presentation was very clear. I've been in the money transfer business for a long time, since 1987. Remittances, this is what I worked from the beginning of the industry. And now I'm a consultant. I also do the remittance conferences called IMTC, and I help startups with money transfers, remittances, and I have the opportunity to help some Bitcoin and virtual currency startups, and that's really why I'm here, because I see the potential. Now, Mohr World is this advisor as a consultant services. Now, we have at IMTC something called MTBit, which we started about 2 years ago, where it's like a forum. We invite anybody that is in the Bitcoin world or virtual currency world to come to our forum. It's a one-day forum, and discuss Bitcoin. Know the potential of Bitcoin. Know the future. Just startups, people that are doing things right now with Bitcoin and virtual currencies for the money transfer or remittances, for remittances functionality. Now, let me give you some basic facts about remittances. Well, okay. So the flows have been growing steadily through the years. This is, I cannot even read here, but since 2015 is here. This is some estimates. So this top here is the worldwide volume, and this is here from developing countries. So it's a steady growth of an industry which is up around $500 to $600 billion a year. It's not that big, if we look at it at the whole financial system of the world, but it's pretty important for some countries, like Mexico, for example. Now, the largest recipients of remittances are India, about 72 billion a year, and then you have China a month. You have China, a year, yes, I'm sorry, 72, and then you have China. Philippines surpassed Mexico about 3 years ago. Mexico sits at number 4. Nigeria, Egypt, Pakistan, Bangladesh, etc., etc. Now, how important is for a country is as percentage of the GDP. And you see that for Tajikistan, money coming from Russia, you have 42% of their GDP is remittances. So for that country, it's extremely important. And then you have Nepal, Tonga, Moldova, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the outflows, the number one country in the world in outflows is United States, which is about 50 billion. Now, United States doesn't track how much money really leaves. those numbers are collected from what other countries report about coming from the United States. So all these numbers that I'm presented here are from the World Bank, from a group of people that I know very well. They work very hard, and they say that they only are able to record about 50% of what's really formal, what is reported to central banks. So it's a good estimate, but take it as just data, the best data that can be there. So you have United States, you have Saudi Arabia, you have Russia here, you have Saudi Arabia. Russia is now number 3 because every time oil drops down, remittances drop down. Same with Saudi Arabia. Then you have Switzerland, Germany, Kuwait, France, etc., etc. Now, this is a very important word in remittances, corridors. Corridors is just a one-way flow of remittances. So the U.S.-Mexico is called a corridor. It's the largest corridor in the world. So in this chart that you cannot see very well here, you have United States, and this is Mexico, is the largest one, but U.S. also have to India, to China, to Philippines. So these corridors are important because, as you will see, no corridor is really alike. Not even the corridor from U.S. to Guatemala is similar. It's similar to the one in Mexico, but it has a lot of differences. So I always say be careful when you generalize, because migrants are different depending where they go, where they live, they left the city, etc., etc. Now, in Latin America, well, Mexico is number 1. You see the difference to the others. This is about 25 billion. Look at Guatemala, which is number 2. Guatemala is about 3.5, near 4. And then you have Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Colombia, Honduras, and so on. So really, that corridor, United States, Mexico, is huge. It's very, very large and very important for the region, for Mexico, of course. Now, the growth per country, and this is data from Manuel Orozco, which is a researcher from Nicaragua that lives in Washington, and it shows that in 2015, remittances to Uruguay rose by 18%. Don't ask me why, I have no idea. I have to find answers to that. Guatemala, yes, 15%. Guatemalans keep on entering the United States in large numbers, while Mexicans are some of them are coming back. The Guatemalans are kind of replacing some of those places where the Mexicans have left behind. So you have Colombia, 9%, Honduras, etc., etc. Mexico growing at 5%, while in 2013 it decreased 3%. Now, global pricing. I'm sorry that you cannot see it very well, but here it is. In 2008, it was about 10.5%. Right now, in the second quarter of 2015, it reached 8%. So there has been a drop of the global price for remittances. And the price, I mean the fee and the exchange rate differential. So this is the two components of a remittance. Is a fee that is normally charged to the sender and a spread or difference between them. So the prices have been coming down. Some interesting facts about prices is this. Per channel, look at this. Banks charge an average of about 14%, dropping about 12%. That's a global average of banks. And there's a great website that you can see from the World Bank, and you can see almost every channel by bank, by MTO. MTO means money transfer operator, money transmitter operator, or money transfer organization. Is just a money transfer company, like Western Union, MoneyGram, Sigue, Reenvía, and others. Okay, so MTOs have been here, normally much lower, about 2 to 3% lower than banks, and post offices are going like this. Why? Governments don't have any idea what to do with post offices anymore. They just I mean, it's a dying model, so hey, why don't we pay remittances? Okay, let's do it. So there's some governments that are doing their best to revitalize postal offices so they can pay remittances. I'm very opinionated, so if you ask me if it's going to work, I will say no way. Now, what is the state of the industry? It's a cash agent-based model. What does that mean is that Western Union and every company in the world has agents. This is small stores. Western Union, no, it has larger chains of stores. MoneyGram has Walmart as an agent. And people go there, migrants, most of them, and give cash. Money is put into the system and is paid in the receiving country. That's what is called an cash agent-based model. It works? It works. It is efficient? No. It's not efficient. It's very complicated. You have to deal with the cash. You have to take the cash to the bank. The bank doesn't want to receive it. It's very complicated. You need a lot of money on the receiving end because money is paid in 15 minutes, and the money really takes 3-4 days to arrive. So it's a very inefficient system, but money transfer companies have been doing it for years. Now, MTOs are the masters of the sending markets. Means in almost every sending market, meaning United States, Europe, wherever the remittances are originated, is an MTO, which is really the owner of that channel. Banks or others have not really been able to get into this because it's complicated, managing agents, credit, cash, etc. Now, the market share, Western Union has about 17% of the worldwide market. Then you have MoneyGram, which about 8%. And then you have RIA and VIA. And then there is Express Money and others. So it's even though Western Union is the big company in the world that does money transfers, it's only 17% of the market. Now, in south-to-south markets, meaning sending money from one country to the country next door, the telcos, the communication companies, those are the ones who are really making inroads into that market. Now, digital remittance MTOs are on the rise. I will talk more about them. Now, who owns the paying channels? I mean, the receiving of those remittances is banks or telcos. MTOs have not been able anymore to compete with banks or telcos in the paying markets. Years ago, there was a lot of agents in Mexico paying remittances. Most of them are all gone. Or some of them have become agentes bancarios, or banking agents. But really, the banks or the telcos have most of the share in the receiving side. So in the sending side, you have MTOs. The receiving side, you have banks or telcos. Now, there is a big regulatory clash that I'm going to talk more about it happening right now in receiving markets. But now, what are the challenges of the industry right now? Shrinking revenues. Is not an industry that is making too much money now. Really, if you look at Western Union, MoneyGram, all those companies are not doing very good. They're shrinking revenues, and there is a lot of new cost now. Now, regulatory challenges. Every step of the way, there is somebody, a regulator, that says, now we're going to do this different. Now we need more controls. We need this and we need that. So it's every time there is a new regulation coming on, complicated, difficult, you have to learn it, et cetera, et cetera. United States, you have 48 states. Each one of them has a different license. So if you want to be an online money transmitter, you have to have 48 licenses. While in the European Union, you need one for all the European Union. So it's quite a difference, you imagine. There's a stigma. Yes, the industry doesn't have a good name. In one side, you see news that says the remittance industry is overcharging migrants, et cetera, et cetera. And on the other side, law enforcement. But it's more reputational than really true. And I'm not saying it only because I'm part of the industry. It's because HSBC in Mexico, the problem that HSBC had in Mexico doesn't have anything to do with remittances, not at all. But because HSBC, the problem that they had, it closed all remittance companies, and everybody decided to close the accounts of money transmitters. Well, there was nothing to do. It was an AML problem based on foreign exchange and et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to talk about it. You probably know more about it than me. There's compliance costs. It's costing more and more to do compliance. Access to banks. Banks, for many reasons that I'm not going to discuss here, are closing down accounts of non-bank competitors. Financial companies that are doing same thing as the banks are doing, the banks are closing the accounts. They say it's because of risk. They say that it's because of compliance. I say that it's more a problem of competition. Is risk management or is unlawful competition? So we can talk about hours about that, so we're going to go on. Now, bank APIs. A lot of people have been discussing that banks should be the rails. They should open their systems so the money can flow and do APIs like any other non-bank does. Whether banks are going to do it or not depends on what banks wants to do or wants to be in the future. There's a lot of mergers and acquisitions happening. There's a consolidation in the industry. And there's also a war on cash. You read it. Governments are realizing that cash is very expensive. For a country, cash is expensive. You have to print new ones. You have to store them. You have to do so many things. Who pays that? Every one of us. So yes, cash is expensive, and there is a war on cash. Will cash disappear? I don't think so. Okay, now, why the industry is ready for disruption? Why? Because, no, I'm not going to go to because yet, sorry. I'm going to back down, and I'm going to give you some wrong assumptions. And this is talks that I have with Bitcoin companies. When they come to me, they have these wrong assumptions about the industry that I tell them, wait, be careful. You're making assumptions that are not true. Which are they? One, remittance users are not happy with the current solutions in the market. That's not true. If you ask everybody that sends money nowadays that is a migrant, depends how you ask the question, of course. If I ask everybody here, is everybody here with the amount of money you make? Most everybody's going to say no. But if I ask you, are you pretty satisfied with the state of your economy in your household? You'll probably say yeah. So it depends how you ask. But every remittance sender is happy with the system. Why? Because they come from 5 years or 10 years ago when you had to send money with a friend who was traveling. Now they can send it in 15 minutes there. Costly, whatever, but his money is getting there and he's safe. Now, other assumption, remittance users are overcharged and they are looking for cheaper solutions. That's not really true. Yes, there's a lot of competition for cheaper, but mostly it's comfort and security and other things than really the cost. So I understand that companies tell their investors, we are going to be the cheapest one, we're going to do this, the clients are not happy in the industry, we're going to make them happier. I understand it's marketing, but it's not true as an assumption that you should take if you're building a business based on this. Remittance users prefer to use services from the comfort of their home or the comfort of the handheld device. That's not true. If you see Mexicans in Mexico send money, even if they can sit down in a computer and go to Zoom and send money, they like to go at the end of the week to the local tienda and have some tacos and drink some tequilas and talk with friends and send money. They feel alive. It's like they're consulate. It's and that happens everywhere in the world. There is a very important psychological reason why migrants tend to go. You go in Buenos Aires to Liniers, and it's like little Bolivia. And I was amazed. And why they go there? Because, they spent whole week working, who knows? This is where they feel alive. So would they send money through at home? Who knows? Anyway, cash remittance models are dying is another wrong assumption. Remittances are risky and compliance is costly and complex. Sorry, but that's not true. That's also a wrong assumption. All right, let's go on. Is Bitcoin the disruptor? No. At least not yet. Okay? All right. Now, what is happening? What is the disruption wave right now? You have here online and mobile MTOs. Those are the disruptors right now. The companies that are offering solutions online like Zoom, TransferWise, et cetera, and mobile MTOs, Remitly, and others. Those are the disruptors right now. Who's coming behind? Telcos. Communication companies are coming with mobile wallets, with mobile payment solutions, and these will be the disruptors in some years to come. Who's that? Looks like a shark. Un tiburón. Okay, yes. So, this is how I see it, but this is where we are here now. When is this going to happen? It depends on a number of things. So that's why I say no, at least not yet. All right, let's go. So let me give you some facts. So the disruptors right now are online money transfer companies and mobile payment solutions. Those are the ones that are disrupting this cash-paid model. So, but look at revenues. Here is Western Union. MoneyGram makes this in revenue. Look at here. Here you have Zoom, you have TransferWise, Remitly, et cetera. This one is westernunion.com, which is their online solutions. It's here. So look at that. I mean, comparison is nothing, the revenue that is coming. Yes, they're the disruptors, but they're still very small. That's why I show you that we are in this portion of the wave. Now, this is for you viewing. You can see how the revenues are changing by model. This is Zoom. You can compare. Zoom has been growing, but it's slowing down. Zoom was just bought by PayPal, and everybody's waiting to see what's going to happen with that company. Zoom started as an online company. You had to go online in your desktop to do Zoom. Now they're offering a mobile app, and you see what is happening? I mean, it's becoming a mobile company. Is now more than 60% of their remittances are captured on a smartphone. All right? Now, this is just to show you some revenue and some year-to-year change in revenue of these disruptors. You can look at the presentation, you can download it. But look at this. This is Zoom. This is the transfer volume that Zoom has been having from the first quarter in 2014 to the third quarter in 2015. This is TransferWise. TransferWise is a company that started some young people in Estonia and moved to London. Now they have also licenses in the United States. And look at the growth in just first quarter of 2014 to the third quarter of 2015. All right? So these are the big disruptors right now. Now, I'm going to go fast into telcos. Telcos are coming behind. Telcos have been able to get licenses to operate without a bank. So, and in some of the places where governments are not controlled by banks or are being forced by banks to change to give them regulation that is favorable. So telcos are beginning to get the ear of the politicians, because if you have a mobile wallet, if you can make payments with your mobile wallet, you're financially included. La palabra en español, the word was bancarización. bankarization. Nobody uses that word anymore. Now they call it financial inclusion. Because, you know, if you have a mobile wallet and you do payments digitally, you're financially included. You're not bancarizado or bancarized, all right? So in Africa and in Latin America, and these examples are here, you can check them out yourself, the links are here. This is happening. Latin America, where Tigo, which is a company out of Luxembourg, is already in Paraguay and El Salvador, be able to do mobile payments, not with a bank account that is behind that mobile wallet, like Colombia and other countries force companies to do. No, just as a standalone mobile payment. All right. Now, who will triumph first? Bitcoin as a currency or the blockchain as a protocol? That I don't really know. They are remittance companies, and they're called remittances, remittance Bitcoin companies, they're called remittance companies, are now operating right now. There are companies using Bitcoin in some corridors. But there are also a number of companies that are studying the blockchain protocol to use it for their own, to do their own transfers. What will triumph first? I don't know, but this is happening. Now, how are they doing, how are they using Bitcoin now as remittance companies? They're using Bitcoin as a settlement mechanism. Settlement means that you get money from the migrant or from somebody in the local currency. You receive it. You give them a receipt that you're going to pay in their own country so many pesos mexicanos. And then you turn around and then you don't use a bank. You purchase Bitcoin. You send Bitcoin to a receiving company. That receiving company sells those Bitcoins in the local market and pays local currency. So the user, the sender, or the receiver, they are not seeing the Bitcoin. They don't have to explain them, hey, we're doing this. Now, for that to work, both sides have to have an active Bitcoin market, and that is happening, for example, from Hong Kong to Manila, from Israel to Vietnam. There are some use cases happening right now where they're using this. It's not the only one that is working. I kind of like this one. I'm going to go fast, but what is happening really is that this Bitcoin exchange, for example, in Mexico, can say in the internet, you know, send me Bitcoins, and I will give Mexican pesos to your family member through the distribution networks in Mexico, using the same distribution networks that MTOs are using. Now, yes, you can do that. You have to be careful because if you're a Mexican company and you're publicizing the United States, even online, you can be penalized because you are not licensed on that. And you can say, oh yes, but the internet is free. I'm not publicizing. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Now, conclusions. Money transfer versus remittances. I already explained that. No corridor has the same characteristics, and Bitcoin disruption will be corridor-based. What I mean is, think about the corridor before you start doing remittances. Think about what you can do that makes it better for the user. Yes, Bitcoin, it may be cheap, a transaction is very cheap, but you have cost associated, not regulatory, compliance. You need to have a compliance officer. You probably need some infrastructure. You have to maybe pay money to be able to use the local network channels to pay. So it is, and still, people think that, oh, people send money from the United States to Mexico costs 15%. That's not true. You can pay as little as 2.5. It's even cheaper to send money from Texas or Florida to Mexico than send money from Texas to Vermont. Yes, it is. All right, so it is. So the cheapness factor is not not too big an issue. Now, bill payments, airtime, are opportunities that are appearing. Compliance, compliance, compliance. I repeat it. Don't get into trouble. Make sure that you know what you're doing. You don't want to be closed down because you make mistakes and be handling money that you don't know where it's coming from. Partnering, partnering, partnering. The money transfer business, the industry, is a partnering industry. You partner with people in other countries. I see the same thing happen in Bitcoin. Is partnering with others that know the other country. I'm in this corridor. Well, if I'm talking with Argentina, I'm going to talk with Bitpagos because I can work with them. So partnering is very important. All right. Now, this is my presentation. Maybe we have time for a question or not. You can download the presentation. You can ask me questions. I have tons of studies, I have charts, anything you want, I can send to you if you ask for it. And advice, yes, I give advice, free advice. If you're young, if you're in a startup and you want to do, and you convince me that you're very poor and you need my help, I'll help you. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, we will do only one question. Please keep it short, and please keep the answer short.
Regarding the example you gave in the very last part of your presentation, here, where you are buying or selling in different markets with different currencies, you use Bitcoins to pay, and the Bitcoin is sold in the local market. Is Bitcoin market liquidity enough to support a high volume transaction?
But it's a question of time. For example, Luis Buenaventura from a company called Revit, now is Bloom, was working the Hong Kong Manila corridor, and I think is probably one of the masters. He's a very young guy, Filipino guy, and he explains very well that yes, it's liquidity, but sometimes some markets need Bitcoin for a reason, and some markets don't. So, yes, the liquidity is a problem. I'm sure that if we will move to Bitcoin from the United States to Mexico immediately, you don't have $22 billion to change over. You know, it will take a long time for the liquidity to happen. That was the question?
Okay. Well, again,